Neil, what show is it?
1,100 and a lot.
1,187?
None of the show is sponsored by Santa Cruz Skateboards, by the way. Not 1, 0.
There's a point to that.
Are we working on that? Is that why we have Novak on the show tonight? We're schmoozing him? By the way, folks, welcome back to the Off the Lip radio show. We are live here at the Santa Cruz Boardroom, 825 41st Avenue. Richard Novak's here, the founder of Santa Cruz Skateboards, and a whole bunch of other things.
A lot of shit going on here.
A lot of shit. But by the way, folks, just so you know, 825 41st Avenue is the original home of Santa Cruz Skateboards.
745 41st Avenue.
Down there was?
Yeah.
I thought you started here. You moved here.
Oh, you've been telling that story for a long time.
I've been. What did I say earlier?
Yeah, listen.
Well, what I want to know, Rich, by the way, folks, welcome. When you started Santa Cruz Skateboards, I've always had this story that it started in Hawaii.
No.
What
What are you smoking?
I thought it was a Hawaii surf trip.
TC,
The Japanese needed skateboards.
TC, but less than a minute into the show.
I don't love it. Well, this is so funny because I've always kind of had my version of your start. Can we have your version of the start of Santa Cruz Skateboards?
You want to, can you keep it and repeat it right? Or
I'll try.
Screw it up again.
I will try.
Okay, we started NHS in 1969, and it was a reinforced plastics distribution system, which means we sold all the surfboard blanks, the resins, epoxies to surfboard makers, sailboat makers, ambulance body top makers, motorcycle fairing makers, and it was a good business. It allowed us to surf all day. It was built around being able to surf from 10 to 3, and then at that time you had an answering service where actually real people answered the phone. So they would take the orders, and then we'd go surfing, we'd come back, and then we'd deliver everything. And that's how the rotation went. Didn't make a lot of money, but it promoted a lifestyle. Around 1972, a company called the Fiberglass Works, it was owned by Tracy Nelson. His wife got killed on Highway 17 in a car wreck, and they had life insurance on him but none on her. And the IRS came in and wiped him out, and he owed us a bunch of money. We didn't have any money, and he owed us a bunch of money. So I had actually made my first skateboard in 1960, and I'd given it to Jimmy Phillips. And so we were using pultrusion for some parts we were using for, we were trying to make some surfboard fins out of pressed fiberglass or pultruded epoxy. And so we saw the skateboard thing happening, and it had sure grip trucks, roller sport wheels. So we made a couple skateboards. We send them over to our friend Jimmy Hoffman in Hawaii, and he went to Macaulay Sports, and they bought 500 of them. So we made 500, and then they ordered another 500. Well, that's what kicked us into the skateboard business.
Well, that's my confusion because I thought Jimmy Phillips and Jimmy Hoffman, excuse me, met somebody surfing that had a connection in Japan.
Had a sporting shop over there.
In Japan?
No.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Why did I always think it was a Japanese thing? Because maybe I do smoke a lot of weed, everybody. So it's actually.
Could you repeat that one more time?
I own a marijuana store.
How long have you known you? You don't even have the story?
I've known you forever, and I tell the wrong stories so often.
This is the show, and he gets all the gaps filled.
I love this because I'm putting it together now. So
are you stoned right now?
No,
clear.
Totally sober.
Okay,
this is clear.
Macaulay was Macaulay Sports. Macaulay Sports.
It's a bicycle shop.
And a lot of skateboard shops were bicycle stores in the beginning.
Well, yeah, there was no skateboard stores
right
at that time. Yeah,
so
the first ones.
So Jimmy Hoffman did facilitate that first sale.
Yeah, he was a fireman over there. We all grew up together, and he was able to go out and he ran around town and stuff. And he was hooked up with Bosco, with Clark's phone distribution thing over there. So
Bosco was a big guy, right? Wasn't he?
Bosco was a skinny guy.
Oh, was he? Oh, God. See, I don't know anything.
Bosco, what was his name? Bosco Burns, and his son died of no water riding a motorcycle up in Pukekea Heights.
Oh,
Pukekea Heights.
Yeah, the super famous surfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he worked for Gordon Clark Phone.
Wow. Okay. But the first orders that went to Hawaii was kind of the start of your manufacturing.
Yeah, that was actually the first sales we made. And Jay and I, in the business that we were in the surfboard business, there was no margin, so you pretty much did it just to go surfing. I mean, even if you made surfboards, there wasn't enough money in it. And that's why the consensus of the shops is that you had to have your manufacturing and your retailing in the same place, because there was not enough profit to support an outside shop. We had the surf shop at 745, and it was House shop, and we sold house boards through there, and then we sold some Santa Cruz surfboards through there.
It's really interesting. And from that point on, they ordered more boards. And what point did you decide, wow, we have something here?
Well, the Skateboarder magazine was starting to come out, and I think it was out already. And so we just said, let's, when you see a profit margin, or we built a profit margin into it, I don't know who else was doing it. Bain was in it, GNS was in it, a couple other guys. And so we built a margin in it. We built a margin for retailers, we built a margin for distributors, we built a margin to have teams, a margin to have. So there was enough money to support an industry. There wasn't that kind of money in the surfboard industry, because it was the manufacturing and selling of surfboards. Even the large manufacturers, I don't think they got rich. A couple of them made some good investments as the action sports industry was building. But it was a hard business to be in. It's a labor of love. But this one, Jay and I saw, oh yeah, we can put these margins in that you need to run a business.
Right, and then hopefully support building surfboards on the other side as well.
Well, we started that way, yeah. I mean, I got mentored by Gordon Clark I met him when he was first doing his blanks in Laguna Canyon Road. Him and Hobie were developing their foam. And he took a liking to me. I was probably 16, and he started drilling me because I had an aptitude for math, and he taught me a lot. I mean, he allowed me to be in that first set of people that kind of built the action sports industry. You had Dick Metz and Hobie and Phil Graham and Duke Boyd and all these guys down there, the Hoffman brothers, and we were 10 to 15 years younger than those guys. And for some reason, he always included me into it, and he talked to me incessantly on the phone.
You see, it amazes me all the names that you remember. Last time I interviewed you, it's one thing I sat back and thought about how many people, all these names that you remember. I mean, who are you?
No, it's incredible. His memory is insane.
He can't even remember Hoffman and Phillips.
I know, no, exactly. They're both Jimmys. I know that.
I only have a couple. You got a lifetime achievement award with the Skateboard Hall of Fame. What do you feel that was your greatest achievement?
I think just making it to 84.
By the way,
we had the.
I'm gonna show a couple of photos. I have a few photos of you getting your Lifetime Achievement Award. I just want to share it with everybody. This was right here is when you were actually on stage accepting your award, and I'm gonna zoom in here. You can see there, and I gotta love this about what you did. Novak walks out on stage.
I want to hear that. I want to hear that from the man.
And what did you say when you walked in?
I had a speech written up. Bob and I had and I went in there with the attitude of, these guys are really screwed up. They didn't put the right people. This whole thing because of being in the industry as long as I've been in the industry. So I had this whole speech set up, and I had worked it out.
Did you feel that you were deserved of the award at that point?
Sure. I deserved it a long time before that.
Okay. Fuck yeah.
So anyway, I had this deal, and Buddy, the guy that's running the show, run the videos, and Bob put this video together in the beginning, and they covered everything that I had in the speech. They covered the indies and the thrashers and all the stuff that I was trying to cover in the speech,
right,
and giving credit to the people that I wanted to give credit to.
Right.
So as I'm driving to the place, Gavin DeNike says, "Why don't you start this thing out and like this?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm Richard fucking Novak. Deal with it." And
the crowd loved that.
That's the way I started my speech, and then I went in and I laid it on to my family.
And speaking of your family, this is your family right here. with you on the red carpet, which is awesome. And I also have this photo, which I'm going to show you in a second. But this is you with Steve Van Doren and George Powell.
Yeah.
What were you guys talking about in this photo?
What were we talking about? I think we're trying to figure out where to go to dinner.
Well, I mean, we're talking some power. I mean, these are the first 3 Lifetime Achievement inductees.
Yeah, I think it was kind of an interesting event because when I went into this event, when you go into an event like this and you don't see people for a long time, I've seen Steve Van Doren throughout the years. He's
every trade show.
He comes up with that.
The bus.
Yeah, and you know, Alba and Soy and all those guys that are with him, they're all, you know, we grew up through the industry together. And you kind of look at these guys and they got old. They got really old, and I mean, they're walking old, they're thinking old. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going, holy shit, am I old? You know, am I in that bracket? You know,
you're sharp as a tack. Mm-hmm. And that, I feel like that helps.
Then I'm sitting there after the awards at the table, and I've got Kendall there, and I got Roscoff, and I got Olson, and I got Salva, and I got Soy comes up, and Dresden comes up, and kind of I'm looking over at George's table, and there's his wife and a couple old people, you know, and I've got all these guys, and we're just jamming, you know, history because it was fun.
It's a great segue because I feel like what made Santa Cruz great in the 80s was the personalities that you assembled.
Oh yeah, no, it was. I got offered a lot of stuff going into the 80s that I turned down, mainly because they were Boy Scouts.
Like Steve Caballero or somebody?
Stevie, I had a choice between Stevie and Keith Meeks. Both of them wrote for me, and Stacy came in and he was making a move on Stevie, and I got Keith, and then Keith had a fetish for breasts, and that cost me, you know. What are you gonna do?
He had a what?
Fetish for breasts.
Okay.
Most men do.
Just sort of clear that out.
He had a girlfriend, and he just was totally into it, and it's kind of, I think that Meeks was probably at that point in the industry, probably the better of the two skaters. You know, he had everything right. Both of them had everything right. They had the right size, the right everything. But Keith just was a little bit more smoother. But you know, Stacy took Caballero under his wing and went with it. Meeks took the girl under his wing and went with it.
Well, you kind of had this punk rock vibe.
Yeah,
the rough and rowdy.
And I couldn't mix it with the Boy Scouts.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going into the 80s, and this is what we were probably talking about, is that in the 70s, when Jay and I got into skateboards, we looked at this thing as the possibility of making it a sport internationally. And so we focused on racing because we knew that if we did racing, we could go into Europe and Asia, and it had a definitive finish to it. Nobody likes subjective finishes, especially in Europe and Asia at the time. So we thought if we could stay in that area, we could own that area, and we did. We started going over to Europe. There was Jay Sherman, myself, and Dave McIntyre. And that's who hit these ISPO shows and stuff. We opened up, first we went to England. It's Martin Green, Michael Allen, and John, what's the guy's name? He was a fishmonger.
Fishmonger, you talked about that before, yeah.
The Allens are from Shiner?
Shiner, and Martin Green was from, he had a shop in town, was the name of his shop. I'll think about it in a minute and come up with it. And then John was this guy, the fishmonger. He was pretty cool, but Shiner didn't like the fishmonger. And Martin Green wanted to go to the Alps and ski and be cool, like James Bond.
Who doesn't want to be James Bond?
Martin Green's place was Alpine Sports, and
Okay.
John's place was Surrey Distributors, and then Michael Allen's was Shiners. And so we got those guys together, and then we took Michael Allen with us, and we went into Germany to ISPO, and that's when we started making contacts in Germany. But because I traveled and surfed a lot, I had contacts like in France where I could call up somebody, and this guy's named Barlow and Bayonne, who made surfboards, and and I could call him up and say, hey, I need a contact, I'm making skateboards, and he'd say, oh, call this guy over here. So you have these doors keep opening for you, and but that's what Jay and I saw in the beginning, and we saw this, that's why we made the margins. And then just as the skating ended and transitioned into vert and street skating, if you look at the ad, you'll see that our ads were a year ahead of everybody. In street skating, had Olsen doing a layback with his girlfriend in it with a whip above on the ramp.
Oh yeah, no, yeah.
And that was we knew we had to convert. We knew we had to divert into that because what we thought all along is that skateboarding in reality was transportation.
Right.
It wasn't.
Right.
You know, it's like, so you get, you know, and this philosophy goes into Thrasher, going into Thrasher, same sort of thing. We can go into Thrasher and we set it up like, well, we kind of used Rolling Stone as a model with, you know, the music part and the way, and then Hot Rod Magazine as we wanted to go into skateboarding and then teach people how to put on trucks, put on wheels, and do this other thing. And then we took Rolling Stone and used the music part of it. And then the first issues of Thrasher were the size of Rolling Stone. We did about, I don't know, 6 or 10 copies with it. We found out that the front folded over on the rack, so you couldn't see it. So then we switched to a magazine size on that. But we figured in Thrasher when we laid it out is that we want to have 20 of the top riders. We don't care who has those riders. We want 20 of the top riders. And if you're an advertiser, you go in and you have to buy one of those 20 guys to get in there, or you have to sponsor them. But the margins were such that you could do that. You couldn't do that in surfboards. You had to rely on clothing companies.
Could you do it today?
No.
No.
No, you could, because it's just tattered.
Yeah.
The industry is that's another thing we're probably talking about is how tattered and bitter the industry is right now.
I agree with that.
You know.
I feel like a lot of what opened doors for you was your reputation as a surfer.
Yeah,
you know, because that was you were a great surfer growing up, and also you weren't afraid to like headbutt somebody.
No, I collected a lot of money doing that.
Because you have a. I mean, obviously, we're talking in your younger years. You were kind of a tough and tumble type dude.
Well, I just, you know, I never picked the fight, but I didn't let a good fight go by. But you know, if you took a look at Jay and I in our earlier years, we're both about 6 feet, 6'1", 215 pounds, 31-inch waist. So there wasn't a lot of people to
Mess with.
You looked like Charles Manson back then.
Yeah.
You did.
Jay looked like the Karate Kid with a shaved head.
No, you guys were imposing.
Yeah, and Jay, they'd always keep their eye on Jay because he had a shaved head, and you know he could put his foot up against the wall and put his chin over his toe, and I mean they would just freak out on him. They weren't watching me, and I was probably the one they should be watching.
From talking to you all these years, I always felt this vibe that you never really had a hard time collecting money.
No, we always got paid. One guy, I eventually got him. It was Jesus is Our Lord Surf Shop in Texas.
Say that again. Repeat that, please.
Jesus is Our Lord Skate Shop in Texas.
It's a classic.
Or surf shop.
I love it.
And
He owed you money?
Huh?
He owed you money?
He owed us money. And he gave us this.
Jesus didn't pay up?
Jesus didn't pay us. The paperback didn't come in the mail until and I went after the guy, and he just disappeared. You know, just like
Walked on water.
Jesus
Gone.
took him away. And so I was in Hawaii one time surfing, and we were going around town, and there was a surf shop called Cobra Surf Shop. And the guy was, you know, Jimmy said, "Hey, this guy's just totally into Jesus. He's writing all this shit down, you know, blah blah blah." I said, "Let's go check it out and see what he's got." It was the guy.
No.
Yeah. And I got my money.
You got your money?
I got my money.
He was, and when you walked in the door, he
away.
he probably got real nervous. And you were an early Hawaii pioneer.
Well, we went there first in 1960, and Alonzo Weimers was my mentor from around the first real surfboard was 1951 that I surfed. And he was UDT in World War II, and so when I went to Hawaii in 1960, he sent me a letter of introduction to Buzzy Trent. And
The legend.
so Buzzy Trent was the big wave rider, and Alonzo was part of the crew, the big wave rider. So Buzzy, it was summertime, and Buzzy took me out to the North Shore, took a couple of us out, one of my friends, and we dove every break so he could show us the bottom to do it. And
The Buzzy was here?
No, that's
No,
the
it's
different.
Hawaii.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
he
Buzzy
was-
Kerbox.
Okay.
No, Buzzy Trent was
Mm-hmm.
Buzzy Kerbach's parents were born.
In 1960, how many people were surfing on the North Shore?
25, 30, maybe.
25 people, Neil.
Well, look at it this way. We rented a house in 1964 between Tupac and Pipeline, and it cost us $35 a month.
And Jimmy Hoffman went on one of those trips and didn't come home,
No,
right?
Jimmy went over. He went over the next year, and he went to school at UH with Dan Howe. And Doug was over there cutting his chops at Inter Island and shaping surfboards. So we first went over and surfed the South Shore and the west side of the island. We did a little bit on the North Shore, but it wasn't really breaking that one. And I say that doing the South Shore with a swell is probably the most fun surf ever. I mean, there's no water movement, so you're not fighting the rips and fighting the currents. And there's just tons of waves, And
I heard a story that you guys used to go there and buy cheap cars.
Yeah.
And you'd like drive around cheap cars, and then you'd like dump them.
Of course.
And did one go off a pier?
That was Doug Howe's car. At that time, when you went to
Avis is still looking for that car.
no, they found it. I'll tell you how they found it. So we'd go over there, and you either buy a car from another surfer, or you go find a car. There's a lot of old cars over there. I think the first car that I bought over there was a Chevy Suburban 1949 or 1950.
Wow, very collectible.
And there was a lot of rust on the wheel, so we took some big old firecrackers and tried to blow the roof off, but it wouldn't blow off. But we tried. So anyway, we went with that car, and then that one lasted all the time we were there, and we sold it to another guy, surfer that came in. And then the next year, Doug went over, and then he had this car, and he couldn't sell it, and we never re-registered the cars. We just drove the cars and then walk away cars. And so when he went home, he took the car. It was a jet, I think it was a pier, it was a jetty, I think. Put a brick on the throttle, turned it on, and put it in gear, and it launched off the end into the water. So as he's leaving the airport, the headlights are still on.
Oh my God! He was taking off, and he could.
You could see it. But at that time, the Honolulu airport was there was
3 people there.
three planes a day come in. I mean, we were surfing Maui, the airport in Maui. Their whole deal was a bench by the airport. That was it. You just walked up to the bench, and maybe one plane a day would come in or something, and kind of sit there and wait for it to go. And if you wanted to go to Lanai or those places, you had to go with Young Brothers barges to get over there because no planes would fly in.
That is an amazing story. I want to fast forward just a little bit because you had this skateboard program that was growing.
Yeah.
And you were buying wheels and trucks, and you guys decided that you needed to have a package.
No, we were buying from the roller skate industry. Actually, controlled the skateboard industry in the 70s in the beginning. Roller Sport was the guy that made the wheels that eventually, what's that guy's name that came in with the urethane wheel?
Cadillac?
No.
Oh.
Forget his name. Anyway, he ended up going through Roller Sport, and he got to Creative Wheels. Nasworthy was the guy that put a urethane wheel on a reshape. We were all using urethane wheels from Roller Sport, which were roller skate wheels. And we were using Sure Grip trucks. Some guys were using Chicago trucks, but all out of the roller skate industry. And then as we started getting deep into the roller skate industry, Tony Roderick came out here from the East Coast, and his father worked at Marathon, which poured urethane, and he had and in the rollers on the computers and stuff, there was precision bearings in there. And in the roller skate industry, there was precision bearings in the wheel. It was a 607 bearing, 7mm in ID for the axle. And Tony came in with this Road Rider wheel idea with the Broadcom wheels in, and we tried it out. And Jay and I just grabbed it, and took off with it.
Did that happen in this building?
No, in 745.
That was over there?
Yeah, and what it did was that when we got this thing, it changed skateboarding, completely changed skateboarding. The barrier on it was that in the 607 bearing, they don't make that many to use. So the bearings were 60 or 70 cents a piece in 1973, 74. So I called around to bearing companies, and I found out that electric motors, vacuum cleaners, they use a 608 bearing. And if you crack the metal rims on a loose ball roller sport wheel, it was already seated for a bearing, and it was a 608 bearing, 6 outside diameter. So I asked the guy, I said, do you have second bearings? And he goes, yeah, we call them noise deficient. And I said, well, what do you do with them? We don't have a home. So I said, well, I'll buy them. And so I bought them for like 8 cents a piece. And at the end of the whole thing, we sold 20 million Road Rider wheels and probably 60 million bearings. And that's we got that thing going. And then we went down to a skateboard contest in LA in 1975. And I ran into Ron Bennett, who had a skateboard truck that was actually made for skateboards. And I said, can you put an 8mm axle on, and then we'll standardize everything with the drill pattern and the axle. And Bill Bain was running, he had Cadillac wheels and Chicago trucks, and I think he was making his trucks at the same time. And there was a couple other people, McIntyre was running GNS, and so Jay and I looked at this thing and went, holy shit, this thing is, we have an industry here if we can put it together.
You mean standardizing?
We standardize everything, we get everybody going in the same direction, and then again, it goes back to when I was saying, when we went to Europe, we go as a unit to Europe, not as an individual. So that way you have a pizza in Europe, and all you want is a slice of that pizza. And you make sure that you are creative enough to stay within that area. Jay and I had confidence enough that we could R&D and develop stuff to stay within that area, and we wanted everybody to come with us. We didn't go over there alone. We knew that, like look at your store, how many different brands you got in here. You can't have just one brand to make it last. Right around that beginning time, this Sugar guy, this roller skate guy, went back to Marathon and tried to extort Road Rider wheels from him, out from under us. And because they were making the wheels. And so Jay and I figured that, the best way to handle this is go down and give them a personal visit. See what they're up to.
Shook the tree a little bit?
Yeah, just, you want to screw with us, we don't hire lawyers.
How nice of you.
And so this guy, Joe, what was his name?
You hang him off a building or something?
No, he didn't have to go. Joe Nazaro found out what was going on. He called us up. He had a roller skate. There's 7 families that control the roller skate business. If you have to buy popcorn from them to do it. So he found out what had happened, and Jay and I were going to go make a courtesy call. He called us up and he said, "I'll take care of this. Don't do it." I said, "These guys are in our territory. We didn't screw with you. We bought stuff from you. You made money off us. Don't screw with us."
Wow.
And so the guy backed off, and
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just so you know, when I was like 12 years old, I got Road Rider 2s when they came out. I had a Hobie Flex board. It was a life-changing moment. Yeah. It literally changed my life, those Road Rider 2s. I had no idea that you made them. I didn't know who you were.
It was like, we went down to Santa Monica with the great Zephyr Dogtown team. We had everybody on Road Riders. Stacy was 14 or 15. Alva was around the same. We had all these guys riding for us. And our theory was not to hold on to it by ourselves, but to spread it out. We'll take Santa Cruz and we'll keep it under wraps. We'll keep it under the umbrella, and that's going to be what comes out of us as Santa Cruz. But you take Road Rider, it goes to every manufacturer, every rider, everybody you could do it with. And that's the same philosophy we did with Independent.
Well, probably the most collectible skateboard wheel is a Road Rider 4.
You have one?
Currently. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he gave me a set, and I had to trade him fish for the rest of my life.
Yeah. I got a couple of those deals going on right now.
But I mean, like the Road Rider 4 was a game changer. Road Rider 2 was small.
No, Road Rider 2 was built for the old fiberglass board.
Something like this thing right here.
Right? Huge. No, this was a race board.
It was the original. Because this one's a ply. Yours was like a chopper gun.
This is what we did with this one, this was a race board. When we were watching people race, they were using foam cores, wood cores, all different kinds of cores. And we saw that that when these guys pushed on their boards going around the cone, is that they had to pull the board back up. It's kind of like skiing. When you go, the arc of your turn is the arc of your ski. So if you make your ski bends down, it goes like this. So we saw that with skateboarding. So there's two things we wanted to accomplish. One is we built an independent suspension truck that got more wheel on the ground. So usually when you have a regular truck, you get about a quarter of the wheel on the ground because it's kind of a negative force on the truck. So we built these independent suspension trucks where we could get 80% of the wheel on the ground. So that gave us the bite we needed. So then we built these, and we had an unbelievable pilot, John Hudson. I mean, the guy was just...
The Hut Tuck.
Yeah, he just was out of it.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. And so we watched him skate. We'd get up underneath glass tables and tell him to do his thing. So this has got a carbon rope in it. And what it does is when John goes down using the trucks and wheels, he pushes down as hard as he can to get around the cone. And he doesn't have to lift the board back up. It comes back automatically. So rather than pull the board set up for the next turn, he just goes into the next turn because the board will naturally come back under his feet. So Turner, who was making Turner's skates,
There's one hanging out right there.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had the foam, so his board would die. And so that was the trick that we wanted to do with this one. That kind of was the trick of owning the slalom and downhill business.
And then it changed so quickly because you had the rebound truck.
No, we
the
had independent suspension.
Right, independent suspension, but it had the springs. It had like
torsion bars.
Oh, that's right, torsion bars. Yeah, they were the very first Indy prototypes. Interesting story, Neil. When I worked at NHS, I used to do tours, and under your desk, you got a little box which had the very first torsion, like a Volkswagen.
When we first made them, we used springs.
Right.
And stuff because we didn't really know what we were doing. And so we did engineering. We got into engineers, and they started helping us along. But we couldn't find anybody to build trucks. So at Signal Hill, Fausto and them were building a stroker truck. And we thought that the stroker was going to step into our territory as the independent suspension truck. So if you take a look at the independent cross, it goes like this, and it was independent, and then the suspension
It was on the
goes
bottom.
out through the middle of the cross, and then truck company was at the bottom. And then doing independent, we just took the suspension out of the DGOT or the logo. So we ran into those guys at Signal Hill, Fausto and Eric, and we took a look at their truck to see, if it was any good, or there's no competition. That was a turning truck, not a suspension truck. So we kind of got into cahoots with them. Fausto was a motorcycle mechanic, and Eric was a ticket giver in San Francisco and worked in the shop. But Eric built everything, and so we cut a deal with them. You build us the suspension trucks, and then they had us sell the rebound truck, which was an arm breaker. And that was a disaster. That whole.
And you marketed the rebound truck.
Oh yeah, that was part of the deal. We had to market the trucks for them to build us a suspension to keep it going, and they built really good suspension trucks. And we could take the torque per weight. So if you weighed 140 pounds, we'd do it one way. You weighed 160 pounds, and the thing was just unbelievably cool. So then the rebounds, we said, look, we can't. The liability on the rebounds is just too great. Pete Martyr, I think, broke his arm 2 times trying to ride it.
And your first employee, right? Was Primarda?
Well, he was one of them.
Yeah.
He was the one that stuck with me through the whole deal. And so one day they came down to Santa Cruz, and Tracker had already come out with a truck made for the ditches, so they lowered the geometry on it, and it wouldn't really turn, but it worked in the ditches. So we just had a Tracker and a Bennett. We said, build something that wears like a Tracker and turns like a Bennett. Bennett uses an angle that was, I think it was in a 1980 something patent for roller skates. It makes it so it turns without the wobbles. And that's how the independent truck came about.
That's amazing.
All your years of business, did you ever have a moment where you went, a lucky moment, like, God damn it, this is
It's all lucky.
It's all lucky.
Yeah, it's like
No, the timing of these events is amazing.
Well, one of the things that I was lucky with is I was, except for 1979, I could pretty much call the crashes about a year or two beforehand because there were certain signs that you looked at, and so that's the thing that was where knowledge or skill comes in, and a lot of it has to do with Gordon Clark and those guys in the action sports industry, because surfing was just like skating. It ran in cycles. It went up and down. If you could call the cycle, not get caught on the back end of the cycle, well then the low in your beginning of going in when it climbs, the low coming out is higher than the previous low.
Right.
And then you make it so you work through those flat spots and you keep going up.
Turn the ship, right?
Yeah.
Type ideas.
It's surfing.
Yeah.
You don't know what's coming next.
When to kick out.
Yeah, you got to kick out. I mean, you can't question that section and when it's going to break. You know, you get too high, you're going to get wiped out. If you get too low, you're going to get wiped out. If you kick out, or you possibly can sneak through it, but not in business. It doesn't work that way.
It's incredible to me that with your luck that you created Santa Cruz, an independent, like the premier brands in this industry, and the legs that they've had. I mean, we're 50 plus years now.
Yeah, I know.
You know, it's incredible.
Well, it's
like the way you have Santa Cruz skateboards right now, but that building there, for someone like me, it's just that you don't know what it is. But did you envision that, building it and making it, and have it come to fruition where it is today?
I don't know.
No.
I don't. It's like I was at 745. Jay and I were. We had no money. We were rolling our inventory and self-capitalizing. I've never borrowed money for business. I've never asked for investors for business. So this building was Sprouse Ritz, and it was $111,000. And nobody would buy it because Sprouse Ritz had a lease on it. So I got a hold of the lease.
Sprouse Ritz?
Sprouse Ritz was a dime store, department store.
Oh,
Small,
department
cheap,
store, okay.
Yeah, cheap department store. And they had moved out of here, and this building was empty, and they moved up to the mall, Kings Plaza Mall, up on corner 41st and Capitola. So I got a hold of their lease, and I read down the whole lease, and then down in the small print down there, it says if Sprouse Ritz abandoned the building for 6 months, they were liable for the total amount of the lease, which was about $46,000. So Jay and I borrowed some money from his dad and put a down payment on this, or put $5,000 down to hold it, and then we started negotiating with Sprouse Ritz. And I knew that the Sprouse Ritz guy had bad toes. Somebody clued me in. So when we were negotiating, I had these boots on, and I looked like Charles Manson. And I walk, and every time I walked by him, I'd land about a half inch from his toes. So I got him off cycle, and he's a Sprouse Ritz guy. And you can imagine a Sprouse Ritz guy; they're pretty dorky.
Yeah.
So anyway, we agreed upon a $22,000 buyout, which was what we needed for a down payment for this place. And so we met him in a pizza parlor, and he gave us a check at about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We had to get to the title company by 5, and that's how I got this building.
By the skin of your teeth.
Yeah, just by a luck.
Luck.
Then from this building, we got over to SoCal at Crawford's now.
Yeah.
That guy was a 96-year-old guy, and he made redwood parts for state parks and stuff, and they found him out in the street naked one night. And so I got a hold of somebody that I knew, and we got in touch with him, and then we bought that one, and then we moved our manufacturing from Thompson Avenue, which we had over here, and moved it into that building. And we were running close to 20 inventory turns a year through that building. It's about a 20,000 square foot building, which is unbelievable.
There's a lot of shapers on Thompson at that time, right there?
Not that time.
No, okay.
There was before then. There was Winterburn had a place at the other end of our building, small dirt floor place. Then there was Brownie's Cabinet Shop, and then there was us. And I became friends with Brownie. We built a surf factory there, and then we had a distribution and skateboard making place there. But Brownie liked me, so he let me go into his cabinet shop at night, and he would teach me how to do a lot of lamination. That's a lot of this stuff comes from that deal.
You're responsible for the fact that people think of Santa Cruz being a brand and not a town. Do you You know, I mean, obviously you know that.
Yeah, I think I know that. But what happened was we could get a trademark on stylized lettering with Santa Cruz. So every 5 or 6 years I'd take a shot at it for, have a broader coverage of it. And I always got turned down because you can't trademark geographic areas. And Marie Reese that works for me, she took a shot at it one time, and the guy that was doing the government guy that was doing the judgment of how to do this, he was in Barcelona, Spain, and he saw some kids with Santa Cruz clothing on it, and he said, oh, you guys are from Santa Cruz? No, this is a clothing brand.
Yeah.
It's not. So somehow we got that, so now we have.
I remember getting a phone call from you one time. It was during COVID. It was like 6 o'clock in the morning. He calls me because remember Bruno.
Santa Cruda.
He had Santa Cruda written. A T-shirt's made Santa Cruda with the same the same font, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And it's fucking 6 o'clock in the morning. He calls me. He goes, hey, you tell your buddy.
You got to protect your trademark.
I mean, I was with you in a trademark lawsuit, and I learned a lot about it.
Yeah.
And if you see it and you don't protect it, you're giving permission.
Yeah.
So you have to. A lot of I talk to people about this all the
time.
time.
Do you remember we walked down the Pacific Mall after we went to dinner with you and TC, and there was Burdells and a Santa Cruz.
Oh, I see it all the time.
I take pictures and send them to you all the time because I'm like a watchdog. I'm a protector.
You go through Temu and
I find all kinds of stuff.
We have like 23,000 letters to Temu with China, and they cut it off if they find it. I don't know if that many.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot.
Terry sends me those, and then I've got people all over the world that send it to me. And I just go after it. There's a guy up here, university up here, that has a socialist deal with our logo. Yeah. We got him once, and then we saw it again, and we'll go after him again.
Yeah.
It's important to do.
Yeah.
All trademarks, it's important to protect your trademark, and if you don't, you're allowing people to do it, and then it's hard to lose that in a court of law, right?
Yeah. They can say that it's public. It goes public. You get a trademark for like 14 or 15 years, and then.
How many countries are you selling to right now? Do you know?
87.
87 countries.
81 or 87 depends.
Are distributing NHS products.
Yeah, mostly skateboards and clothing. We got a bunch of licensees like in South America, England, Japan, China. And then we do collabs with a lot of people.
And the licensees, just for people who don't know, it's because I remember Europe, very thin fitting. Our blanks didn't fit. They have to manufacture for their trends.
Yeah, right now it's this low IQ president we have.
The tariffs.
The tariffs.
Yeah.
It makes it so you're getting pushed offshore. I mean, not only with T-shirts, with everything else, and you can't bring anything in the country and go out without massive amounts of paperwork. So it really affects you, and you can't solidify a price for stuff you're doing in here because you don't know where he's going to go next. So you can have 15% tariff, you can have a 50% tariff. So everybody's trying to squeak through the window while it's cracked open.
As a retailer, it's so hard right now because we have to pay attention. Prices change every week.
Yeah.
And it used to be T-shirts for $19 for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Retail. And so we never really had to pay attention to if nothing changed. It changes all the time now.
Yeah. Well, T-shirts we use are mostly made in America. Sweats are not a lot of sweatshirt makers in America anymore.
So it's difficult to even get your products.
I hate to be my purchasing guy.
Yeah.
I purchased a lot of stuff. I'd hate to do it now. It's just I go in there and just, why are we so stupid?
You were the founder of Santa Cruz Mountain Bikes.
Yeah.
And you sold that company. Do you miss the bike business?
I miss the being able to play with it because Rob did a lot of the work. And, I would back him up. And, when we went into it, he went in as a partner, and I said, I don't want to work, but I'll run my trade name, and I'll support you. And you run into a jam, I'll clean it up.
How did it start? Whose idea was it?
Well, we worked with. I had an investment in Bone Traeger, and Paul Turner, the guy that invented the Rock Shocks. Well, Keith Bone Traeger is the guy that helped him invent the front shock, and so we were starting to ride mountain bikes all the time. And the way I recollect this is Rob wanted to race in Mammoth, this Mammoth run, Kamikaze run, and we got a hold of this guy, Tom. What was his last name? He was an engineer, Tom Morris, and he designed a rear suspension truck for us. And it was good, but it wasn't that good. But for what Rob wanted to do with it, he could just go down the hill and
The pivot, right?
Yeah,
Was that what that was?
pivot.
Yeah.
Well, that was later. That
Okay.
we got the VPP. And so Rob, like in the expert division, he did really well. I think he even won it. And I mean, I would never have went down that hill. I mean, it's just suicide. And so we got done with it. And we were all kind of talking around, and we go, well, let's do a bike. And so we took that bike and then we recreated it. And we had it at the cannery, and I gave them places to do it. We had a trade name. Bone Traeger was there at the time, so he had a lot of help. And then Turner, because we rode a lot of bikes and we had an association with him, he helped us out tremendously with Rock Shocks because he used us in a lot of his ads in the magazines. And we were one of the first guys to do a rear suspension deal.
Was it the Heckler or the Tasman?
Well,
What
it
was-
was the Tasman.
The Tasman was the first bike?
Yeah.
It went crazy.
Oh, it did, but you had to slap in the chain if you started going. So when Rob and I were trying to figure this thing out, I'm thinking about it, and I said, Rob, the majority of mountain bikes are selling between $300 and $1,200. I said, we don't want to pick a fight with those guys. Let's go up to the $3,000 or $4,000 bracket and let them come to us and pick a fight. Because they're going to put all their energy into this lower stuff, and then we can set the standard and we can set the fight up here.
Mm-hmm.
And that way we can stay small. We're not getting involved with all this other shit. And that's what we did, and it worked.
That has kind of been your philosophy all along.
Yeah.
I remember you told me one time, build Mercedes, because Mercedes quality is your marketing, not price.
Right. Well, there's a pie effect on pricing. There's technology, service, and price. So you've got these three areas to go in when you're making something. You go into price, anybody can compete with you on price. They just lower their price. But if you go with technology, you got a service. The service and technology go together. So you stay up in this bracket, and you kind of try to get yourself over and above your competition. And then Indy has a lifetime warranty on trucks. You do something as simple as that. I mean, I don't know how many millions of trucks hundreds of millions of trucks we sold, but you probably count on both hands how many trucks you get back a month.
We never get trucks back.
Yeah, I mean it's
Ever.
Yeah, so you do something like that. My goal right now is we created the 7-ply. I want to take it out.
Do something new.
Yeah.
Well, your innovation is NHS's.
Yeah, I mean,
mantra.
Marta and I have been working on this for a long, long, long time. We almost had it with a board we made, just as ramp skating turned to street. We didn't have strong enough rails. It was a great board. I don't know how many we made, 20 or 30,000 of them. But now I'd like to, before I tip over, is we did the 7-ply. Let's take that out and make it
The next great skateboard.
Yeah.
How many patents does NHS have created?
Somewhere between 20 and 30 patents, and I would say if you get into innovations, it's in the hundreds.
It's incredible. When you look back of concave and like the weirdest simple things.
A lot of that I have to give. When Jay died, I had to give up a lot of the R&D stuff, and as time went by, Tim Pumarta he followed me from the 70s and nothing, 3 employees and no money. He followed me into the 80s. And I think I almost killed the guy. But I got him turned on. And the guy that made this board and taught us how to make this board was a guy named Andy Marshall. And he's the guy that did Honeycomb and had Hexcel plant. And Tim and I didn't know how he was the father of composite construction until he died and we read his obituary.
Wow.
But we worked with him for over 20 years.
And Hudson's world record downhill board was a product of Hexcel, right?
Yeah, it was a product of Andy Marshall.
Because it was the honeycomb.
No, it was that board was a honeycomb board that he used on the speed deal. But what Andy did was he had the composite down. So if you look at this board, rather than using carbon cloth, we use carbon rope. And what happens is if you have a carbon cloth, you have a binder. So every place that binder is, it makes the cloth kink at that binder. But you take a 3/8 inch piece of rope, a carbon rope, and then you break it into fours, and then you put it on your board. It has a constant, there's no binders in there. And that's what I do with my surfboards, is I take carbon rope, and then I A-frame them to about 2/3 to the nose.
Yeah.
Then I can, like my 10-2 board weighed 10 pounds. You know, I can get it, the nose will break off. You
Right.
gotta be really cautious with it. But that guy taught us all that stuff.
And it goes back to what I was saying, is that I feel like of any company on the planet, NHS has done more innovation for skateboarding than anybody.
Yeah, and I say you got where we're going with this thing is you got to give Tim Marta credit for that.
He's the Martian.
Yeah,
He
Martian, and
yeah.
he's you know, him and I are still about every 2 weeks we sit down and you know, he's coming up with stuff. He shows it to me. And, you know, we got this VX thing coming out already,
Which is awesome.
Yeah, and if we can go the next group before the Zers, and we can get into that group, and maybe set a different standard. But the VXs last 2 or 3 times longer than a regular 7-ply.
Can I ask you, how much did the art be part of skateboarding, and were you part of the start of that?
The what?
Art.
Like the art on the boards and stuff.
I speak English. I
I
speak fucking English.
You should be in the pub in Boston with the Scottish guys.
You know, I should be.
He's 7 pints into it already.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
They ran out of beer, you guys.
I know.
We started the art. We basically just had a strip logo with Santa Cruz, and we never got real serious with it. We used artists. And Phillips, I met him when he was about 13, and you know, he would pinstripe our cars, and he'd draw comics and shit. And him and I worked in a lot of surf shops together, glassing, hot coating, and then Jay got him to start working for him towards the end of the 70s, and then we started getting into graphics. And then it was kind of a natural going into the 80s with Jimmy. He, you know, if a skater gives Jimmy the idea, and then Jimmy takes the idea and goes into a whole different world with it. Yeah. And I think we were doing about 80 graphic changes a year without the computer in the 80s, which means that's all hand done. All that shit's hand done.
I got a couple examples up here.
Yeah, and so, you know, that, like the Roscoff thing, we decided I wanted to do that in a series of 4 or 5 boards where it starts out with a target, and then we evolve out of the target. But I wanted to let it run for a year to maximize the sales on that, rather than everybody was changing their graphics really fast. Yeah. So, and it worked. I think Rob probably sold more boards in the 80s than any other writer in the industry. And
these boards are still selling, right, TC?
Oh yeah, no, and they're the most iconic and some of the most collectible. I mean, there's like the first Hawk, and there's other boards that are, but you know, you're talking $4,000 and $5,000 skateboards now.
It was a good plan, and there's nobody else that I think Nodis's graphics are probably. I don't think they sell as much as Rob's do, but you know, every time we sell through a reissue, it sells out. But none of the skaters could grasp this series like Rob did. Rob kind of, when he came in here from Indiana with $400 in his pocket into San Francisco on a Greyhound bus, and Fausto turned me on to him, you know, and he went to work in the factory and started skating for us. You know, he had all the right properties. And I told him when he came in, I said, you know, if you listen to what I say and you can retain 10%, you'll end up pretty good. You know?
And he did.
Right. In the series, I mean, like there's Keith Meek has a small series of boards that are very iconic.
Keith took a lot of time for him to get that to be iconic. That was Paul Merrill that does a lot of that stuff, and he's kind of got Keith booted through. Mm-hmm. Keith was his own worst enemy until recently.
Of all of the personalities that you've had in the skateboard life, which one makes you like laugh and are proud?
I don't know about proud, but makes me laugh.
Well, maybe it's 2 people. One's proud.
I would have to say that in the industry, I've dealt with every major pro rider there is, and we all have I have a certain relationship with each one of them. But one of the guys that always amazed me was Steve Olson.
Yeah.
Steve Olson was an unbelievable athlete. He could have been second base for the Dodgers, and I told him that the other day, and he said, "I don't like the Dodgers." I couldn't be fine. And he's playing baseball, but he had to make things look hard to score high in contests. But he's a happy guy, and every time I see him, like he sat with me at the
Hall of Fame
thing for an hour or so, and we just gagging back and forth.
I remember you told me once about Olson was he'd go to a contest, he wouldn't even warm up, he'd drop in and win.
Yeah.
And all these guys warmed up all day on their run.
I really felt sorry for Salva. Salva would work out consistently, and Olson would just come in and drop in.
Yeah.
Just drop in and just like.
I remember we were on Radio TC when we had Steve Olson. I think.
Yeah, we had Olson on.
Yeah, but I think you connected me to him or somehow or other. Everywhere was F-bomb.
Oh yeah.
I go, Steve, it was a Sunday I called him, Tuesday's our show. I said, just can you practice Monday not to say the F-bomb? Just make it to the day without saying it. I think he lasted on the show like 2 seconds.
Yeah, no, Olson's a character, but I would throw in the proud. I'm going to speak for you, and you can say I'm wrong or right. Would be Kendall.
Oh, Kendall's he's so anal.
Yeah, but I mean, like
he was such a good skater. But he overthought it.
Well, what a perfect guy to have in your business.
Oh, he's inherited it.
He is the current president of NHS.
CEO of NHS, and I got to give the credit to Bob DeNike. I mean, Bob, saved my life by coming in and backfilling me in the '90s. I was pretty well toast at '89, and he built. We had to have another guy on the bench, and Bob, Jeff was the most likely guy, and he stood in there and we built a team around Jeff, and now NHS the team we got built is unbelievable. And
Kendall's kind of steering the ship right now with
your
leadership, Bob's leadership. He's steering it.
We go in. I never tell these guys what to do. I say, this is how I solve that problem. You can take it or you can leave it. It's your decision.
Well, and before we wrap the show up, I just want to say your style of management, in my opinion, was you let your employees trip and fall, and then you pick them up and kind of let them know what they.
Let them hit the ground.
Yeah, but you let them make the mistakes, and then you help them fix them.
We did that with Kendall, in the '90s in the Company of the Week program. I said, go out and do this thing. You want to do it? I said, just lay on your trade names. They're never going to change. Nike never changed his logo. He got out. It didn't work, and we picked it up and put it back together. And I said, that's kind of what I'm talking about. But Jeff is really smart. He's dedicated. He's Bob pretty much is the guru of the industry. I mean, he is the guy in the industry.
It was awesome at Hall of Fame how many people mentioned Bob DeNike.
Oh, I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah.
It's like Bob and I together was, we'd go travel, and I'd go out at night with all the people I had to go out with, and then Bob would go to bed at 7, and he'd wake up with his notebook and pencil all sharp and ready to go. And, I could crawl in there and fake it for 2 or 3 hours, and then, that was it. We had a pretty good rap going. But
he would carry a lot of the stress, and you would just be like happy-go-lucky. Yeah, no, you were.
No, I think the theory that I used, and somebody taught me this a long time ago, if you surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, it makes you appear to be smart. Yeah. And so I've always tried to, you go Gordon Clark, this guy here, or this guy over here, Bob. I was giving a speech one time, and in the speech I said, C students always hire A students, because C students get things done. And I looked at Bob and I go, Bob, what'd you get in school? He goes, I got A's.
Well, there it is.
But it's cool.
Before we go, one more question. What's the future of skateboarding? What do you vision it? Is it going to continue
because you compete
in a healthy situation? Is it going to, what in your opinion?
Well, I think there's always going to be skateboarding. I don't think it's going to go away, but my biggest fear is the Olympics. Because with snowboarding, when they took over snowboarding, there's a lot of innovation in small companies. The guy's going to create something, it's going to be a small company, and you either incorporate it or you learn from it. When they did snowboarding, they picked off all of the people that ran all the snowboard contests and all the infrastructure for that end of it, the Little League end of it. when they saturated all that knowledge, they got rid of them. And then they put snowboarding under the skiing umbrella. And what did it do for snowboarding?
Yeah.
It wiped out everybody in the smaller companies. It took the sport and put it into a park on a mountain.
Yeah.
You know, that just wiped out the whole, everybody over 30. And then we were the first people to do parabolic skis. And we did it with Volkel, and Volkel was afraid to do it. He said, hey, let us do it. We're a snowboard company. If it doesn't work, we can just laugh about it and say, we're just screwing with you guys. And it worked. And so they came up with the shorter, wider skis, and they innovated it in there. And then the other thing that happened that I talked to the marker, Dr. Marker, who made marker bindings, and I said, in the transition from spadement to marker, I go, what did you do? You know, how did that come about? And he said that the spadement bindings were onto the sole, there was a long thong, there were all these different bindings, and the boot manufacturers couldn't keep up with the changes. So the boot manufacturer says, we're going to make a boot, it's going to be heel and toe. And so this is when Marker made that claim to fame. So when we were working with Marker when we were doing the step-in binding, and we had
for snowboards.
We had Switch, we had Ride, and we had us, and we had everybody coordinated with a standardized pattern for going on. And then we had the boot company, Nike, who said that they would sell, it was a side mount on the boots, that they would sell what do they call those things?
Plane or whatever it is.
Yeah, they would sell those,
Yeah.
3 of them, in each boot they sell, so you have your choice of any binding. So it's up to
The
you.
disc for it.
That's the disc. There's a thing that goes on the boot, the bail, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And they would, they would make their boots, and it would be a side bail, and anybody that wanted to come into the industry, they have to be a side bail. Exactly what Marker did, that whole deal. Not that we had an inside, but
It's also exactly what you did in skateboarding by standardizing the holes for a
standardize
skateboard
the whole-
truck.
Yeah, you make it competitive for everybody, but Burton wouldn't make that change. He wanted to stick with his three-bolt pattern. And, he was the kind of the guy at the time. The industry was struggling a bit. He had a lot of money from somewhere.
What's your favorite decade and why?
The favorite decade, most fun decade, was probably the late 50s and early 60s.
Yeah, why was that?
Just nobody's around. We were way ahead of the baby boomers, and we just had the world to ourselves. Nobody even knew what we were doing. We'd go to Mexico, and people would never seen a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy with a surfboard. They didn't even know what a surfboard was.
Right.
Most of the places we went to. And business-wise, I'd say the most fun was the 80s.
The 80s?
Yeah, because we controlled the whole industry. We controlled the magazines, we controlled the manufacturing, we controlled the companies, and then towards the end of the 80s, the clothing companies and shoe companies started getting their nose under the tent, and it took us, we couldn't compete with them because they had free money, and I think the 80s was the most fun, and the guys were fun too. We could pull shit.
Can I ask one more, CC?
I got one too.
Your favorite day surfing was when?
I'd say the river mouth.
Yeah.
River mouth was the most perfect way before the harbor.
Yeah.
You could take off shoulder to shoulder. One guy could go left, one guy could go right. It was
Yeah.
about a 200-yard ride. Most fun. And then South Shore in Hawaii, summertime.
Okay. Thank you.
My last question is it true you were one of the first humans to see green marijuana?
If I've seen green marijuana.
Was that a Mexico trip that you guys were on? And
Well, we were. You got to re-ask that question. Around the Guadalajara area, towards Puerto Vallarta, and below Tepic, there was a mountain range that goes into the forest. That's where the Sinsemilla was from, the big bugs, and we happened to be there to see it. That was about it. The big colos about this big, and that came into this country, and that was the end of it.
I heard that you were one of the first to actually see that down
I
there.
probably did. I don't know. There was. I can't say that it was just me. There was about.
You won't get in trouble for this.
No.
Not on this show.
It's just that I know the transition, and there's really good stories behind it, but that's where it was growing. I think what 19 1965 in Mazatlan. We wanted to get some pot, and it's like go to this hotel. And I had this Quaker girl from Illinois with me, just looked like a nun, good-looking nun. And we waited here, and we bought a pound of weed. The cops gave to us, and that's Samia. We wanted a joint. We got the same price of the joint as the whole thing.
The whole bag.
Yeah,
Amazing.
but it was it was really scary.
Back then. Yeah.
You get caught, you get killed.
Novak, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's always great to
Said
hear.
too much.
It's awesome to hear your stories. You have so many, and your memory is incredible.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so it's great to always have you here, and I just want to say thank you for. Where I am in my life, I owe a lot of it to you, and you've been a great friend, a great boss, and my family appreciates that. So
Good.
Thank you for everything you've done for me.
You've been a pain in the ass.
I know. Oh, I know. Neil, what do we got next week?
Coffee Zombie Collective, the band's going to be next week.
Love
Music.
those guys. They're fun as can be.
Little music.
Okay.
Kelly Sorensen's coming on.
Awesome.
The future mayor of Santa Cruz, Ryan
Cooney's coming on?
Cooney's coming
Yeah.
on.
When do you have him?
Big scoop.
Big scoop?
Dr. Hester's wife's coming on.
Oh,
That
I heard
hand
she's
surgeon.
great.
Of
Yes.
10 years, she's finally going to make an appearance. She goes, I won't have anything to say. Oh, yeah, you will. We
Maybe I can have her cut my tumor off on that show.
Yeah.
Is she a dermatologist?
The hand doctor.
Oh,
Hand
oh,
surgeon.
Hand surgeon.
we had her surgery
Yeah.
by her.
Oh, really? Yeah, she's
Yeah.
great. I heard she's fantastic. All right, some great
Rich,
shows.
Thank you, Rich.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Rich.
you very
Always
much.
awesome. We'll see you guys next week on the Off Flip Radio Show. Good night.